What on earth is that? Well, it's a blood pressure gauge. Why am I holding up that? Well, to start off with, this video is not sponsored by Omron pressure gauges at all. This is purely scientific. Since I love science, I keep track of my blood pressure. And in doing that, I get the opportunity to show you what happens during a neurotic episode of having a negative emotion. I actually managed to take my blood pressure during an argument, a heated argument with my empress at home. And in that way, I can show you actually how it looks when you are having a negative emotion in yourself. To bear in mind that I wasn't angry or really angry when I took my blood pressure. I was merely frustrated and upset and annoyed, but not angry or furious. So you'll see, you'll probably get a bit scared when you see how high my levels are just from being frustrated. Imagine your values when you're really furious. Anyhow, if you like this video or my work so far, please consider subscribing down below. If you want to write a comment or hit the like button, please do so. Otherwise, let's get going with my values. So what you're seeing here now is my values that I take with my blood pressure gauge every single night. And in the beginning, I took them morning and night just to get a baseline of where I'm at. So you can see up top my systolic, and on the right up top diastolic, the low one, which it fiddles within, and it's pretty normal. I went to the doctor yesterday and showed her my values, and she said yeah, they're all right, and I check them regularly. You can also see here the dip. That is when I'm perfectly healthy, not have a virus or bacteria or infection in my body, and being outside running. On the tops, you can see that I probably have an infection like I had these two last days when I've been hunkered down in bed on Monday, just sleeping and feeling awful. But let's go back. I bought this pressure gauge, which I'll show you if you're interested in which one I have. I bought it back in November. Here you can see I took both morning values and evening values in bed just before bedtime and just when I woke up, just to see how it looks like and get a feeling about my person as where I'm at. My beautiful, lovely empress does the same. But to show you in reality what an argument and negative feelings look like, well, here you have it. This measurement was taken at night just before bedtime or trying to sleep, when we were actually having a very heated argument where we both got emotional and lost control over what we said to each other due to anger, hostility, sadness, and being shocked about what the other person said. And I talked about that before when it comes to neuroticism and emotions, that when you trigger someone's emotion, it's easy to get along with that and get triggered yourself, and then you're in a loop, and that's how heated arguments arise and how they destroy relationships. Well, that's my subjective view of it, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. You can see the systolic blood pressure up at 186. That's pretty high, and I wasn't all that angry. Just to make myself clear, I wasn't all that angry. I was more frustrated than angry. And look at my blood pressure, 187. My diastolic, 101. That's almost what I have at my systolic level at a calm day when I'm just ordinary, not experience a feeling. So imagine if I was furious, how much higher this would be. I can't prove it because I didn't take my blood pressure when I was furious, but it makes you wonder how that would look and what that might do to your heart and your brain with that sort of pressure load. I'm not claiming that this is any true or science. I'm just showing you my data so that you yourself can see what actually happens, because you can't validate if I was angry at that point in time when I took the value. Purely scientifically speaking, you can only assume that I'm telling you the truth. The interesting thing when we look at the other times is that you can see when they're low, I've actually been running those days because that kicks my blood pressure down. So you could, if you look at neuroticism, as I explained in the last video about neuroticism, you could see how experience a lot of negative emotions actually increases your blood pressure each and every time you're in an argument. If you deem that my values here that I showed you are in fact what happened when I took the values, you'll have to take my word for it. But imagine being in a relationship when both people are neurotic and triggering each other all the time, that you're always fighting, you're angry all the time. Think about what that does to your blood system, your heart and your brain with that pressure load on it all the time. Imagine being at work where you don't love your work and everyone is stressing you out and making you angry. Can you see now how that affects your body in the long term? As I said before, the science is pretty clear when it comes to neuroticism. It makes you live shorter lives. And if that stresses you out and you always constantly live a life in emotions, either positive or negative, which is the definition of drama queen being high in extroversion and high in neuroticism, you hear all the time how they feel. That's drama queen. Nothing wrong with that. It's a personal trait, but you need to be aware of it so that you know how you affect other people. But constantly being neurotic and experiencing negative emotions, either you trigger them yourself or your partner triggers your emotions, or co-workers triggers your emotion, or your boss, manager, for example, triggers your emotion. That is why I choose my managers very carefully, because they can wreak havoc on your life. The science is pretty clear that over 80% of all managers in the world has a negative effect on employees and the bottom line of the company. So be careful of who you choose as a manager above you, because they can actually make you feel worse than you should. But what can you do to alleviate all this? Well, as I told you and showed you, my low values are due to me running. As a person, like I explained when we came to the openness trait, I'm a fairly active person. When I talk about being active, I walk twice a day, 4.5 kilometers in the forest to alleviate the negative emotions in my body, because I'm only human, and to keep track of them, I need to exercise. We know through science that sitting on a rock in the woods for 30 minutes will lower your blood pressure, make you feel better. And I can tell you one other thing that is a positive effect from being outside and walking. After 20 minutes of walking, you'll be finding yourself being creative, coming up with solutions, solving problems, feeling more happy. That's the dopamine effect from being outside in the forest or nature and walking. Keeps the blood moving. So test that out next time you feel bad. Take on your shoes, just get out walking for at least 20 minutes and sense the effect on your body and brain. There is a reason why long distance runners talk about runner's high. That's something that kicks in after 40 minutes, or at least in me. I can't speak for anyone else. But runner's high is about your dopamine or serotonin levels increasing from running, blood flowing. That kicks in around 40 minutes for me personally and makes me feel that I can run forever and I am happy to be outside and running. That's probably something very hard to understand when you never exercise, that you can actually feel that. But we know through exercise, running and walking, that we do get a very, very positive effect on your body. And you can see, you saw that on my blood pressure, for example. One other good thing about neuroticism and UV light is that we know through experiments that neuroticism decreases linearly with UV exposure. So there might be something to it that Scandinavian women want to go to sunny vacations every single summer just to calm down. They need it. There is actually science that backs that up. If you expose yourself to UV light, and the more you do it, the lower your neuroticism trait becomes, thus your negative emotions. 15-20 minutes in the sun every day when it's out, or walking in the sun, will actually help you and benefit you in the long run, since it does produce vitamin D, which is a very essential hormone in your body. I'm not telling you any sort of scientific truth here. I deem that you should yourself go look it up. There are tons of scientific papers out there that suggest or shows this data, and you should personally check that out. Anyways, that was all for today. I hope this gave you some sort of insight into why neuroticism is bad for you and why you should actually take care of it, because it wreaks havoc on your body. And there's plenty of science to read up on to see that that is in fact true, and that the data suggests that it is true. Well, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want more of these and want to get notified when I post more videos. If you liked it, put a thumbs up, click on the thumbs up, and please do write a comment. Think about that there are other readers out there, so bear in mind that please don't be writing bad comments for everyone else. Try to be constructive and think of that you're in a square with a lot of people screaming this information that you're writing in the comment, and that will keep you in line of what you write. I had to delete some comments the other day from angry people. That was not very kind, even though I could respond to them scientifically and explain what happened in them, which I might do next time for everyone else to read and see a good example of what emotions do to you when you get triggered and then you lash out at someone that you don't even know that this woman did. I wrote an answer to a comment, but decided that it's, even though I was purely scientific when I wrote it, I don't reconcile with starting a dialogue with someone that addresses me or something in that manner. That's just below my standard way of living and communicating. So there you have it. But I do appreciate you writing comments, even if you liked it. Write what you liked about it. I appreciate it, and I think that everyone else does too. And don't forget to do it on YouTube, not on Facebook. All right? Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Cheers.
Every change has a